And let me just get to where I can see this so I can respond to what you said. Rosalind says, I feel like when I meditate, I'm plugging into the matrix to feel connected. When I'm awake, it can feel disconnected at times. Changing one's perspective can happen over time or in as little as 2 minutes. So when I become aware of the disconnection emotion, I can make a shift to look at the experience from a different perspective. Exactly, exactly. Especially, you know, I love that you're talking about plugging into the matrix, because I think that there is so much about that movie. I thought that the original Matrix film was just amazing. I don't know about the human battery part, but the illusion that we are existing within, that we're hypnotized to in so many ways, where we are kind of hypnotized into our limitations, or believing in our limitations. And there's so much more available to us. When we talk about life as a dream, for example, I don't know if you're familiar with Joe Dispenza, but he was in the movie What the Bleep, and he has developed out. Hi, I'm back. Okay, great. I guess I was not there for a little bit, so thank you. I don't know what I did, but somehow we made it um, so that the comments are showing. So thank you for that. Anyway, I was talking about Joe Dispenza. He is doing really wonderful, wonderful research into altered states of consciousness. So he has developed a number of meditations and meditation retreats. You can find his meditations, a bunch of them on YouTube. But he has this incredibly intensive retreat where uh, he is monitoring brain waves and heart rate, and getting all kinds of physiological metrics for people accessing altered states of awareness and creating what would otherwise be considered miraculous healings, transformations, where people are reversing or eliminating all kinds of symptoms related to diseases like um, I'm a little afraid to step out on a limb and name diseases, but I believe like MS and lupus and all kinds of other sensitivities and allergies and depressions and all kinds of things. And good morning, Dennis. Welcome, welcome. And Robert says, yes, I love Joe Dispenza's story where he reconstructs his spine. So thank you for that, Robert. Joe Dispenza, I think he started out as a chiropractor, and he had a really bad accident and was in bed, uh, incapacitated for quite some time, and spent a lot of conscious energy visualizing and reconstructing his spine and accessing this alternate, or we'll call it alternate because it's not where we normally reside, state of awareness, where he was able to direct the healing power of his body. And Shelley, welcome. Great to have you here. Says they said he wouldn't walk again. And Dido says, I found this website, drjoedispenza.com. You can check it out. But he is really accessing this notion of life is but a dream in a way. And we have, one of the things that he says in his meditation, which I believe is true, is that we are gods in the flesh. And that means that we have the capacity to control and direct our reality and our experience. Rosalind says, I love that science and data can explain what is being felt when the heart and brain waves are altered from meditation and conscious awareness. Good morning, Irma. Welcome, welcome. Yes, exactly, Rosalind. Well, so what science for so long has been saying is that all of this stuff about healing and our ability to heal ourselves and create what is interpreted as miraculous and impossible is anecdotal and therefore doesn't count as science. And what Joe Dispenza is doing is he's getting all this hard data that validates what is happening, these crazy brainwave patterns that science used to interpret as seizures, for instance, are some pattern that shows up when people are accessing this transcendent state, this state of being able to transcend their identity. One of the things that he says in a number of his meditations is be in the place where it is no place, it is no time, you are no one. In other words, we move beyond our identity, our limited identity connected with this physical form. Irma says, I know, I'm so excited for that info from epigenetics. Exactly. So epigenetics is really talking about the transcendence of our genetic makeup. In other words, we have certain physiological predispositions. However, those physiological predispositions are not immutable, and we can transcend them by things like good diet or different kinds of behaviors, better rest, more exercise, etc., that we don't necessarily have to become prey to whatever the genetic predisposition is, that it's not a sentence as much as it is a predisposition. So the thing with epigenetic or with genetics is that the conditions that are genetically programmed as predispositions appear typically when the system is more stressed. So if we find ways to mitigate the stress on the system, then it shifts the likelihood of the manifestation of whatever the genetic predisposition was. So, but this goes way beyond that. This goes into the realm of consciousness and really considering that in a certain sense, life is but a dream. And that we are the dreamers dreaming the dream. And as the dreamers, we have the ability to step back potentially and recreate and direct that dream. So we could also imagine that we're in a play or we're in a movie. We are the writers, the producers, the directors of that movie, and we have the ability to access these other states in order to recognize that we are gods in that respect, in that we are the creators of our experience in a very profound way, and that we have access to this other state of consciousness that is beyond the physical, where the physical becomes putty, that we can shape and mold. And Robert says, yes, I love the fact that science has started to study spirituality and prove its benefits. So I love that too, Robert. And the thing is that historically, when people tried to make scientific experiments relating to spirituality and these experiences, these transcendent types of experiences, it's been called quack science. And now to be getting massive amounts of data, like Joe Dispenza is really doing a lot to forward this whole awareness of the new truth about what our capabilities are. He's gathering such a volume of data that it's going to be undeniable. And that is awesome. That is just really exciting because it's um, culturally, so much of what we know, what we already know is true, culturally has been dismissed. I mean, if you want to look at the ultimate disruptor is for people to recognize and know that we can create our own experience and that we're not bound, you know, to have a populace that knows that they are gods in the flesh. That could be profoundly disruptive to existing systems of control, right? So just interesting, really, it's a massive revolution. And it's kind of a 100th monkey thing too, as people, for instance, when people realized that it was possible to run a 3-minute mile, then all of a sudden more and more people were doing it. And so is it a 3-minute mile? Or is it a 1 minute? I don't even know. I just know that as soon as one person did it, all of a sudden more people were able to do it. And I think that that's the case with this consciousness, the transcendent consciousness and awareness, that as people recognize that this is not a fabrication, that this is not something reserved for high priests or you know, a very limited population, that more and more people will be able to experience it, and potentially it'll create a massive awakening across the planet. Rosalind says changing perspective can happen with compassion. That's so true. That's so true. For example, when somebody does something you perceive as hurtful, the shift can occur when you ask yourself, what is this person feeling to say that? Or what happened to this person for him or her to feel that way? Exactly. That's beautiful, Rosalind. Thank you for sharing that. When we essentially try to put ourselves in the other person's shoes, to gain some kind of understanding, like what must that person be thinking or feeling to respond that way, then we broaden our own awareness and we shift our perspective and thereby shift our experience of the event. So with that compassionate understanding, we can end up feeling less personally reactive also. Great point, Rosalind. And Robert says, we are the dreamer in a dream where the main character is us. Exactly. We are the dreamer creating the dream. So we get to dream. This is what I really wanted to talk about, and I guess we are anyway. I was going to say life is but a dream, and we dream our reality into being. And I believe that this is so true, like that each of us are living this epic story that we're dreaming forward with these themes that we have in our lives. And there's such a possibility. There's such a possibility to transcend the story, to get into this state of creatorship. And so Dido says, thank you, Dido, you're awesome. Always there to as a fact checker and support. I'm so grateful for that, and so grateful for you. In 1954, Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile barrier. So it was 4-minute mile, not 3 minutes or 1 minute. Eventually, who knows? But anyway, yes. So with the 4-minute mile, there was a collective belief, and we could call it like group hypnosis, that was an impossible barrier. And then Roger Bannister broke that barrier running a 4-minute mile, and then was followed by a number of people also breaking that record. So, or breaking the 4-minute barrier. Why? Because now it was in the collective that it was possible. And as we recognize what is possible in terms of our consciousness, as we recognize that our that we are essentially unbounded beings, unbounded consciousness and creators, as we recognize that we can truly manifest life in the way that we desire. Like when we embody that, when we know that we can and we embody that, the more people that do that, the more the public knows that that's possible, the more that is in our morphic field. Because remember, we're talking about a web of connectedness through all time and all space. When the collective is present to that new awareness, then it propagates through the field, right? Remember, if a butterfly is flapping its wings on one side of the world can create a tsunami on another part of the world, just imagine what our awakening will be doing for humanity, for the planet, for the animals and the other life forms on the planet, the other energy patterns on the planet, as we recognize our relationship directly to energy and our ability to shift it and move it and change it and expand our capacity. I mean, what amazing, miraculous adventure lay in store for us as humanity, as these capacities become more accessible to us. And I believe that's in the offing. And what then in the things that distract us in the world, and I don't mean necessarily idle distractions. I mean the challenges of the world. When we manage to shift our awareness collectively, who knows what's possible? The things that we think may never change, or the things that seem insurmountable, potentially can just fall away. If one person can heal themselves of terminal condition, and multiple people can heal themselves of terminal conditions, what could happen if collectively we put our attention on healing the planet and healing our relationship to it? Really quite remarkable, unimaginable at this moment what we might be able to accomplish collectively. So yes, perhaps life is but a dream, and we can become the waking dreamer or the awakened dreamer. And I wonder what the world would look like if we, as the dreamers of our reality, awakened into our possibility and potential, and the ownership of our unlimited, unbounded creative power. Be pretty amazing, right? So once again, I want to say thank you for joining me. I really do get such vitality and life and love from these moments together. So I'm deeply grateful. So Rosalind says, what is perspective? Oh, now, Rosalind, I was trying to wrap up and you're hooking me in. Is that the same thing as operating within a construct we develop for ourselves? What is the building blocks leading up to someone's perspective? What order do the experiences, emotions, judgments, and so on happen to create a perspective? I love your questions. Great, Rosalind. And the thing about perspective, I think it's kind of a loop, that any element within that loop can help to shift perspective. And then there is the intentionality of will to want to reach a greater understanding. So perspective is simply a context from which we view things, and we can shift that at any moment. So that's what we've been talking about today. I thank you for that question, and thank you, everybody. So much love to you. And playing with new perspectives, I think, is an enlivening and expansive experience. So maybe we get to try on a new perspective today about something or someone or an experience, and see what that brings forward for you in life, and notice how malleable our experience actually is, where we think reality is something that's fixed, when in fact it's not. Our interpretations are just that. There are interpretations, and we are the vehicle that gives reality to our experience. It's not something outside that is immutable, I don't think. And if it is, I don't think we have access to it. That's a whole other conversation. Maybe we'll talk about what's reality tomorrow. All right, lots and lots of love. And I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection. I go live each weekday morning on Enlightened World Network on the Facebook page. And please check out the wonderful programming and community on Enlightened World Network. And until next time, enjoy a new perspective.